Hello, this is What's All About, and in this review we're looking at a trio of products by 22 Design Studio. So currently this very watch here, is on Kickstarter. That runs until November the 20th, 2017, and in fact it got fully funded in just under 7 hours. So that's pretty impressive. So already this watch is well on its way to being available to the general public, being that it's been fully funded. So that's great news. So we'll have a look at these three products. And we'll start with, obviously, the watch. So this is the signature version of their watch, the slightly higher grade quality. So this is the Studio 4D Signature Concrete watch. As you can see from all three of their products, their main focus is concrete. So we have our concrete dial on a watch, our clock, which is fully concrete, and then our pen as well, with a concrete body to it. So on the watch, something quite unusual for a timepiece. You know, we have this kind of rugged, industrial kind of feel to it with this concrete made dial. So that's the key USP. So let's talk about some of the specs. If I just put it on, our dimensions are as follows. We have a 45mm diameter, so that is also a 45mm lug-to-lug length, obviously because it's a completely circular dial with hidden lugs. And then we have quite quite a high a tool height of 14.5mm, as you can see there. So this is really the only issue I have with the watch. The incredible height to it. You do have to be very careful that you don't knock it or anything like that. It also doesn't really fit under any cuffs or shirts very easily at all because of the height. But there is a good reason for it being so high, and that is this pretty cool radial step dial. As you can see, each hour section is a step which goes higher and higher. Let me just give it a quick wipe. Every step goes higher and higher, hence the quite tremendous steps. So you can see on the dial itself, we've got at least an extra 4 or 5mm than a regular dial. So that is the main reason behind the height. Weight-wise, we've got a nice, decent weight of 110 grams. So despite it being on leather, it does feel substantial, feels like good quality. Water resistance, 3 atmospheres or 30 meters, so not a crazy amount of water resistance. I wouldn't recommend going swimming in it at all. Movement is a very cool plus as well, the Solita SW200-1. So that is a very well known and well regarded Swiss made automatic movement. It's more or less exactly the same as the ETA 2824, which is probably one of the most well known automatic movements going, so that's a very good plus. I've put it on my Lepsy watch scope, and it's actually coming in at minus 3.9 seconds a day accuracy, so that is pretty incredible. Obviously that's well within COSC specs, so that's a really good plus as well. Lug width, we've got 22mm, which ever so slightly tapers down, so a nice decent suitable width of the strap to match the 45mm case size. Okay, so you have 2 years warranty, so that's a good plus. Pricing then, the RRP is $760 or £575. So bearing in mind we're getting a Swiss made automatic, excuse me, and a very unique watch. I think it's reasonably priced. Obviously you can get Swiss made automatics for about the same price, if not less. But these kind of boutique-y kind of watch brands, the prices are starting to creep up a bit, mainly because of the sheer amount of work that goes into them. So I feel pretty reasonably priced. So let's discuss each element in detail then. So firstly, the dial. Obviously, as I mentioned before, we have this very, very interesting stepped pattern to it. Each hour segment steps up with our minute track as well, embossed in concrete. We have our 22 logo, and automatic also embossed the lower half. These embossings, consider it's made of concrete. Everything's really surprisingly well refined and really neat. You'd think, you know, it would have the potential to be a bit messy or a bit, you know, not quite spot on, but it is surprisingly well made. So that's a really good plus. So just the you know, the general appearance of the dial is pretty stunning, to be honest. It's very striking. Certainly, I've never seen anything like this before. Neither has anyone else who've seen it. So it certainly does catch the eye when you look at it. Another interesting point is this sort of like a cylinder which contains the date window. So we have a magnifying lens at the top, and a fully, really well made, polished cylinder, polished steel cylinder, which houses it as well. So just like another little interesting feature. You can only really see the date when you're facing straight at it, but you know, it's not really an issue because you can't see it when it's angled like this, for instance, but that doesn't bother me too much. The hands then, to navigate around this stepped dial, they have a really fancy little step up and then they stretch outwards. Again, a really nice little design feature, I think. Hands are fully polished as well. As you can see, they reflect the light nicely. And we have sort of loomed segments at the end as well. The loom is fairly average, so you can see it in the night, but it doesn't blow your mind. Okay, moving on to the case then. We have this polished bezel, which is a nice touch, and then a brushed side with this sort of key line running through it before we step inwards towards the bottom. Apart from that, you know, nothing too crazy to discuss apart from a very nice, interesting crown, which is polished in sort of like a bolt kind of shape with a hollowed interior. Very easy to use, feels good in the hand as well. The case back, so this is a specific case back that won't actually be used on the released watches. I think the only difference really is this little icon here, some detailing around here, but everything else is more or less the same. Obviously we have the exhibition window, just some detailing which is sort of very lightly engraved surrounding it, and then we have these 4 screws which keep it in place. I forgot to mention actually the anti-reflective coating on the sapphire crystal is really, really good. I always love seeing really effective, clear anti-reflective coating on a watch because I think it really makes a difference. And for this Studio 4D Signature concrete watch, it's really good. As you can see there, I'm moving it around. Reflections are kept to a minimum. Only when I really point it directly at a window do you start seeing reflections. So it really does look good quality on the wrist when you're looking at it directly. Moving on to the strap then, we have a really nice quality thick leather strap which is very supple right from the beginning. A very cool like dark grey as well, which really suits the steel and the grey colours. So really good quality, really comfortable on, well put together. We have a brushed buckle on the end. Doesn't have any markings on top, but we do have a cheeky little 22 on the side there, so that's a nice little addition. So there we have it. So let's get the macro lens on and we'll have a look at it in much closer detail. Starting off with the dial then, as you can see we have these segments which are stepped with our minute track embossed as well, and down this end we have our, let me just move that hand out of the way, there we go. So there we have our logo and automatic. Again, you know, it is bobbly, but let's keep in mind it is concrete, so it's never going to be perfect, but I quite like that kind of rugged appearance to it. Again, those 22, you know, those numbers, considering how fine and nimble they are, really well made considering it's concrete. So the hands, as you can see, we have this sort of like base with the outstretched centre pinions. Again, really nicely thought through, really nicely done. There's the underside of the steps as well. So it like continues below where you can't see it with the naked eye, which is a nice touch. It shows close attention to detail there. Here's our hour marker, just give that a wipe. Sorry, our date window, fully, our polished top and brushed side, and our magnified top lens as well, with our date window on the inside. So moving on to our case then, if I just give this another quick wipe. So starting off here, we have our polished bezel and our brushed side and our key line there. And then if we move over to our crown, you can see our polished edges and our hollowed centre as well. Moving on to the case back, there's the details lightly laser etched. Our screw there. Moving on to our movement, we have just the standard stock rotor. Not a problem for me because I think it looks fine. And it probably suits everything, to be honest, being quite industrial and plain. So there we have SW 200-1 marking right in the corner there, proving the movement. Again, very straightforward industrial kind of finishing to all the bridges as well to match the rest of the watch. So just move on to the strap then. Here's our stitching in our top. You can see a very good, nice quality grain. And on the inside, time the 4th dimension printed on the underside there. Okay, and finally the buckle. We have our brushed buckle and our 22 engraved on the end there. Okay, so I really like the watch. I think it looks brilliant on the wrist. Really well made, really well constructed, excellent specs as well. You know, there's nothing else like it at the moment. And yes, the price may seem a little bit high, £575 or $760, but you are without doubt getting a really high quality watch. I mean, everything is spot on about it. Everything's really well made. The only issue you need to be concerned with is the height. It is very high, but if you're expecting it and you know about it in advance, then I don't see that should be much of an issue or a problem. So I really enjoyed wearing it. Loads of people absolutely love it. They think it's such a cool, awesome watch, and I agree. So I think they've done a really good job with the design. So moving on to the other products then, just a brief introduction. So this is called the Contour Rollerball pen. Obviously our shaft is made in concrete. We have this very nice industrial cap as well. You can't park it, but it's not necessarily an issue. The weight of it is really nice as well, and the weight of the pen in general is really good. As a lefty, unfortunately the 22 is upside down, but I appreciate that the majority of people are right-handed, so they're more likely to see the 22 the right way up. These ridges provide really good grip, and just the weight of it. It's not too heavy that it's, you know, hard to write, but it just feels really good quality in the hand. And just the general kind of like machining and finishing of the entire writing instrument is really good quality. This has actually aged a little bit because I have been using it a lot, and I find it really cool the way that it sort of has this, it's not necessarily wear, but it just like this colouring, almost like a patina with a brass or bronze watch case. I think that's really nice touch that this happens as you use it more and more, sort of like works off your oils in your hand. So I think that's really nice. The rollerball that it comes with, it may not be the absolute smoothest writer, but I think the feel of the pen in your hand makes up for it. So a really nice pen that I've really enjoyed using. This is the 4th dimension table clock, and this has been a really nice addition to my work desk. Loads of people love it. Obviously, as you can see, it's fully concrete. Just move that out of the way. If we look at the underside, it is quartz, but it's no jewels, and it has a smooth sweep seconds hand, which is a really nice touch, especially for watch enthusiasts like you and I. I'm sure you'll agree that a smooth seconds hand always looks so much nicer and cooler than a ticking second hand, so that is a great little feature. It's basically a bigger brother of the dial on the watch, so we have these steps, these segments for each hour, stepping up and up, and our hands are a bit more simplified, so they are literally just straight points, as you can see, but they're still protruding from the center, which is a very cool little touch. It is surprisingly easy to read as well, considering it's so minimal. As you can see right now, it's sort of almost 1/4 to 1. So at a glance, it is easy to read, despite how thin these hands are. So as you would expect as well, we have some like interesting patina to it. Got like this rough edge, rough and ready, rugged. It is concrete, so it is very industrial, but also very cool looking. So again, yeah, a very, very nice little addition to anyone's desk. So I've enjoyed getting acquainted with all of these products, in fact. So 22 Design Studio have certainly done a great job in creating a little unique selling point, obviously concrete, but in addition to that, just their general product design is really, really good. Everything that I've seen here is excellent quality, really good design of product as well. So I've really enjoyed getting acquainted with them, and I look forward to seeing them grow and expand with more products in the future. So that was the 22 Design Studio 4D Signature Concrete Watch, Contour Rollerball Pen, and 4th Dimension Table Clock, and that's what it's all about.